some things that are part of a tradition called espiritismo, like taking a person's arm when they're not feeling well. You take their arms and you bring down negative energy. You pull negative energy out their arms and you shake their hands like this, and then you turn them around. That stuff, I found out later, is derived from a healing tradition that the Taínos described to the Spanish chronicler Ramon Pané when he came and interviewed Taíno medicine people. So that's one thing that they did that we now know we're doing now, and I grew up with that stuff. Another thing that I grew up with that I did not find out till much, much later, like very recently, was a dance called El Cordón. They used to do that, they used to perform that dance next to my grandmother's house next door. And it's a dance where people do a special body movement where they take their arms and they swing them like this during the dance. And then they have special foot movements that go with that. So it turns out that in 2014, I attended a gathering at the in the New York City annex of the Museum of the American Indian, where they were doing a conference on the Taíno survival of Taíno culture in the Caribbean. And one of the experts that was speaking there, a Cuban by the name of Jose Antonio Garcia Molina, he talked about that dance and the fact that that dance had Taíno roots. And I was amazed by that because I had always seen it as just an expression of spiritism, what they call spiritism. So I started digging into that and researching it and found out that there was dances that were done by indigenous people in South America, where our ancestors came from. I think we talked earlier about the migrations from South America to the Caribbean. Well, there's still people down there. There's still Arawakan people down there that speak the Arawakan language and have Arawakan traditions. And they're doing a dance that's very similar with the arm thing, swinging the arms back and forth like this. Identical. Different music, different melody, different lyrics. The lyrics in Cuba are in Spanish. Down there, they're in the Arawakan language. So that there is, especially two tribes in Guyana. One is called the Wapishana, and the other one is called the Locono. Both of them are Arawakan tribes, and they both do that dance. Then if you go into the Caribbean itself, there's an island in the Caribbean called Dominica. Not the Dominican Republic, it's a different one. It's a little tiny island. In Dominica, they speak English, okay? And in Dominica, there's a reservation, the only reservation of indigenous people in the Caribbean, an actual reservation like they have here in the United States. Well, they have a reservation there. The group, the tribal group there is called the Kalinago. And the Kalinago have traditionally been called Caribs, the word from which the word Caribbean comes from. But now it's known that they're not a different tribe. They're really very closely related to the Taíno, and they spoke a related language, an Arawakan language. The music is totally different from the music that they do in Cuba. And in Cuba, they don't use percussion instruments. It's all a cappella. But in the Kalinago territory, they use drums and rattles, which is more like the original, the traditional. So that was interesting. So I've actually put together a really an interesting little compilation on Indigenous Caribbean Network, a blog with a series of videos taken from Cuba, from Dominica, from Guyana, showing the different dances that all link up because they are derived from Arawakan tribes. The one in Cuba is from the Taíno, the one in Dominica is from the Kalinago, the ones in South America are from the Wapishana and the Locono, but they're all, that's what links us together.